Hi, this is Pat Bruff from Fink & Paris Insurance Agency. Welcome to our podcast, Local and Mighty, the podcast about Massachusetts personal and commercial insurance, mixed in with a little bit of fun.
Hey everyone, it's Pat Bruff here, and I am with Jen Ewers here at the Fink & Paris podcast, Local and Mighty. It is our first podcast of 2022, and hello Jen, how's it going?
Good morning, it's great. How are you?
I'm good. We're sitting here in the conference room in our Florence office, which it's odd to me, like every once in a while someone is like, you actually have two offices? Yes, we have two offices. We have one here in Florence, and we're upstairs in the conference room, and the office in East Hampton is over on Campus Lane, and we're here on Main Street, right across the street from right next door to Stars Pizza, and right across the street from
Florence Pizza. So 63 Main.
We're surrounded by pizza, so all is good here. So for those of you paying attention, coincidentally, Jen, you were the last person that I had on the podcast.
That's right.
I remember it was your first month or two, give or take here. And you were a smidge nervous, I think. I was nervous too, because I didn't really know you. And so there was like this get to know each other kind of thing. And we had the exciting flood insurance. So, which turned out to be way more than it turned out to be as far as what you had to put into it. And now flood's changed, right?
It's changing. It continues to change. Please call with questions. If you wanted me to check an address, reach out anytime. Always happy to help.
Yeah, we might have to update that one. So that might be something that we do somewhere down the road anyway.
You got it.
So the last 2 years have been a bit of a challenge for folks, as everyone knows in the world. The podcast has, saying that you were the last person you had on there. It was back in March, actually, of 2021. They all blend together now.
COVID
times. Yeah, I think we're going to use that term, COVID times. It's going to be one of those things that people are going to say, hopefully, when all is said and done and it's kind of moved on anyway.
Right. And it will move on. It will.
It will. I definitely agree. It's a new year, and it's time to get the podcast up and running. And so with that, again, thank you, Jen, for joining me today as we record episode 13, Wednesday, January 18th, 2022. We're coming to you, as I said, from the conference room. So we are very excited about this year in the podcast because we're looking to change things up just a little bit as we move forward. We will be talking insurance as we always do because that's what we are. We're an insurance agency, so we're going to talk insurance. But with that, we're gonna toss in a lot more fun. I know we had fun before. We talked about kind of the little bits in pieces, but I think we're really gonna talk more to local people. We really want to keep things local because again, we're
locally owned, locally operated, and we're your trusted advisor.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that you know that. And while we are local and mighty, we also know that there are a lot of other people, a lot of organizations, a lot of businesses, a lot of other things that are just as local and just as mighty as we are. So we want to get them involved. We want to get the word out about them. And so however we can do that, we're going to do that as we move forward. One other thing, we should tell you that we are putting this on YouTube. So, Jen, we are recording this. We have cameras in front of us. Maybe at some point today, I'll take a picture of the two of us where we're set up in my unsophisticated tripod situation with the two cameras that are facing each one of us. But we're going to put this on YouTube because, interestingly enough, we did a couple of, actually we did one with Ryan, actually. Him and I did one last year. Well, again, they're all blend together. COVID time. So I think it was early 21, or it actually could have been 2020, when we really weren't sitting in rooms together, whether we were masked or not. And so we did one via Zoom. And we put it up on YouTube, and it's amazing. We got a ton of views and a ton of traffic from that because, interestingly enough, as much as you folks love to hear us through your as you're on your walk or on your bike or on your way to work or whatever the case may be, turns out people want to see us too.
Who would have known?
Well, I guess we're gonna find out actually. So while we don't have millions of followers, we're hoping to get tens of thousands of them actually on our YouTube channel. So be nice to us. As you can see, actually, none of you will know whether the words are linked up and the sound is linked up because we are wearing our masks.
We are fully masked.
We are fully masked, and we're just trying to be as cautious as possible. Yes, we're about just a big conference table. So we're 3.5 chairs apart, which is probably more than 6 feet.
I keep leaning forward because I think Pat's so far away. So
I know. But we're here. And actually, if you're watching on YouTube, we're side by side. If Pat did this right. So
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So with that said, Jen, what's been happening? What's been going on with you? What are we going to talk about in episode 13?
Yes, so we are your locally owned. We're your independent insurance agent. We're your insurance advisor. We want to make sure that everyone's properly covered. Because as you all know, when insurance is obtained thoughtfully and thoroughly, claims are covered. Everything's handled smoothly. And a large part of what we do is we listen. We listen and we advise. So I did want to reach out today because I have had a question pop up recently. And that question is, hey, I hired somebody. It's a nanny or it's an in-home health aide, maybe to take care of a parent.
Yep.
And that's followed up with, do I need to do anything?
Do I need insurance for these people?
And the answer is yes. Yes.
So how did this come up? So how did you, like, what prompted this whole thing?
Sure. So one Friday afternoon, I received a frantic email from a client that had received a pretty terrifying letter. It was from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Wow.
Department of Industrial Accidents, the Office of Investigations.
That sounds kind of scary.
It is totally scary.
Yep.
And it mentions that they're looking for proof of workers' compensation insurance.
Okay.
And they wanted that proof by 5 o'clock that day.
Yeesh.
So it's a very vague letter, but terrifying.
Yeah.
And as I asked, what prompted the letter, come to find out my clients had hired an in-home nanny.
Oh,
they have 2 young children.
Yep.
And just, pandemic times, these times are not ending.
Right.
So they have someone in the home that's under their employment. They're not using an independent agency.
Right.
And they are, in fact, required to carry workers' comp insurance. They had no idea.
Yeah. So I'm curious. How do you think the state found out? Like, how do you think the Mass DIA, how do you think they got this letter? Do they know or?
They don't know. Okay. Maybe they know now. They didn't know that Friday afternoon, but I'm assuming that somebody, perhaps their teacher, the nanny, went to a doctor's appointment and said, my shoulder hurts.
Right.
As I was writing something that, there had to be a trigger. Yeah. Exactly. And I'm assuming that it was some kind of a medical treatment.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I was wondering, that was one of the first things when we started talking about this, and it got me... I was just curious, how the heck did they find out?
Right.
Yeah. So tell me, what is workers' comp and what does it do?
Sure. The Workers' Compensation Act requires that all employees are covered for medical care for work-related injuries and partial wage replacement while employees recover. Mm-hmm. So workers' comp insurance is the liability policy created to fulfill this need.
Okay.
So there's a few things I want to point out about workers' comp. It is no-fault coverage. Carelessness and accidents are covered.
Yep.
You do not have to make a case that anybody was negligent. Mm-hmm. You don't have to mount a defense. You don't have to gather your evidence. And the workers' comp policy is the exclusive remedy. So this means that it's a compromise between the employer and the employee.
Okay.
So it protects the employers from having lawsuits waged against them anytime somebody triggers somebody. Exactly.
Medical, yep.
And then it also protects the employees because there isn't a delay, there aren't deductibles, and you don't have to prove that you were negligent or that, in fact, your employer was negligent. The trigger is just that instance of medical care.
Okay. All right. So what about, talking about medical care, what about medical insurance? What does medical insurance essentially cover this person? So why do I need this?
So that was interesting. So I personally received a notification recently that reinforced to me this need for today's podcast. Yep. My son runs track.
Yep.
And he just had a lingering knee issue and that we had checked out. So we went to Cooley Dickinson. He had a PA and lateral knee x-ray.
Okay.
And then we received another terrifying letter wanting to know, the treatment on 9/17/2021. They want to know that they said that they launched an investigation for our medical services, and they wanted to know if this was the result of an accident or injury.
Okay.
So it's not that our United Healthcare didn't want to pay the claim.
Right.
They're looking for that trigger.
Right.
Because again, if I said that Liam was injured because he was serving ice cream at Friendly's, if he smashed his knee washing dishes at Miss Flo's,
wherever,
all the coverage goes back to the employers, to the workers' comp policy. It wouldn't be covered on medical insurance.
Yep.
Same for a car accident. I don't want to go off track there. But again, if you said, I didn't have my seatbelt on and I bumped my head from a car,
all those things.
All those things. The trigger goes back to your auto insurance.
Right. So is this? So tell me, is this affordable workers' comp if you're hiring somebody?
Right. There are ranges, and it's based on some factors. Of course, it's the number of employees, the amount of your payroll, and the coverage limits that you choose.
Yep.
But in the example, when my client received the letter that Friday afternoon, we ended up providing coverage, and it was less than $300 a year.
Right.
So overall, it is an affordable policy. And like any other insurance policies, payment plans are available.
Yeah, and we actually write more than a few of these actually for our customers, and we've been doing this for years. So one of the things that I did a little bit of digging, and there's a process for this. It's a pretty quick process, but it's still a process just like anything else. It sounds harder as I go through this. I'm going to give you this little piece here. Sounds harder than it is, but it's really not that complicated. So the first thing the homeowner has to do is they need to apply for a federal tax ID number, and everyone gets a little nervous. Like, how do I do that? I'm just running my family here, and I'm working, but now I have to get this tax ID number. Is this complicated thing? It's really not. You need to go on to the government website. We'll put a link in the description down below. So you got to get yourself an FIEN number. And so all that is a matter of you go through, and there's a bunch of essentially yes/no questions, and what are you doing, and who are you hiring, and why are you hiring them? You have to decide if you're doing this as a partnership or as a sole proprietor. So let's just say you're a single parent, and you've hired somebody to help you, so it would just be a sole proprietor. But if it's a married couple, then that couple would be listed as a partnership, and both the names of the couple would be listed there. So that's kind of the first step. Again, it sounds like a whole lot, but it really is not.
And the number is just a tax identifier.
That's all it is.
Just like the Social Security number is for individuals. This just identifies your business essentially to the IRS.
Right. And it's what we need, meaning your insurance agent, to start the policy for you, because you can't get a workers' comp policy through the process without that tax ID number. So once you get that, as you said earlier, there are class codes. There's a bunch of different definitions as to how folks get put into the system to come up with those numbers for you. Interestingly enough, workers' comp in general, I bet you most people know kind of what workers' comp is. If they're employed somewhere, they've
I feel
heard
like the terms
term.
come up. Exactly.
Yeah. And so most folks, the workers' comp premium is figured out by payroll. So I'm going to pick on a contractor for instance, because it's, one of the simpler ones to kind of lay out. So if you're a contractor, you have a bunch of different class codes, and you have a bunch of different payroll. At the end of the day, let's say your payroll is $500,000 for the year, and but you have a bunch of employees that work underneath you. So you have a plumber, an electrician,
a roofer,
and you have office staff. You have all these kind of different codes, and so each one of those codes is put in, and each one of them has a different rate for what they think is more dangerous, for lack of a better term. So those codes are all kind of split out. Interestingly enough, as we ran this, we picked a couple of different categories, the ones that we think that kind of came up in this scenario, and that were a nanny or a home health aide. So a nanny, interestingly enough, is not based on payroll. It's actually based on how many folks you have and whether they're full-time or part-time. So in the workers' comp world, a full-time nanny is anybody who works 20 plus hours a week. And so that's how the payroll or the premium is come to. So you have a premium based on one full-time person. Part-time nanny is anybody who works under 20 hours a week. So let's say you have 3 part-time nannies because you don't have a full-time person for whatever reason. And so you have this flat rate for a part-time person, and you just times that by 3. So again, that it all depends on those couple of things. Now with the home health aid, there's a little bit different. That one is based on payroll. So again, it's just a number you kind of come up with. So let's say you picked $20,000 as a payroll number for somebody who's going to be a home health aid for the year. And again, it's based on a year, and it's based on the start date of the policy. So if you start the policy today, January 18th, then the policy runs to January 18th, 2023. There is always, with workers' comp, an audit at the end. So if you pick $20,000 for the rate and you pay them more, then at the end of that term, there's going to be an audit and it's going to be adjusted. They're going to ask you to pay for the additional, and then they're going to put it forward. Same thing if it's going the other way around. Let's say you only paid them 10 and there's some money that might be coming back to you. You might be getting some money coming back to you. So again, it sounds like a lot, but it is a relatively, simple process.
Right. It really is.
Yeah.
Right. For my nanny scenario, it came up to $286 for a full calendar year.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and again, and payment options are available if you need to break that down further.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the funny thing we said is a long story short.
And here we are.
Here we are making it a little long. But the long story short is you got to call your agent.
For sure.
You should, if you're hiring anybody, even if it's, if they're working directly for you, you just got to give your agent a call. We would rather have you give us a call and say, hey, what's going on with this, than have you be stuck getting these scary letters.
And the most common inquiry that I've received, speaking of COVID times, has been I have my laptop, I'm working at home now, my office is closed, I'm remote. And usually you don't need insurance. If you don't have inventory, if you don't have foot traffic, you don't have clients coming to see you. So, we're not talking about a massage therapist, right? When you have the table and you have your clients coming in.
Right.
But and I work hybrid myself. So when I take my laptop home and I Zoomed at 8:00 this morning, it's covered. That isn't a business exposure.
Right.
So it really does depend. It's a great conversation to have, and please keep asking your questions.
Yeah.
But again, I don't want anybody else receiving, these bully letters.
No,
we want, it's just like in a car accident, that's the wrong time to be asking deductible questions.
Right. Exactly.
We want the discussion sooner. So I really hope that this triggers someone to call and reach out.
Yeah.
If this applies to them or to their parents, or to their neighbor.
Yep.
Just
Any
let
one
us
of those
know.
things,
Absolutely.
definitely.
If you have a caretaker, if you have someone, maintaining the home just for you, again, that trigger, you just need to have one employee. So if you're not using an agency, coverage is needed.
Yeah, I think you just, you made a great point. And maybe we didn't say this back in the beginning, but if you do hire somebody through an agency, then you don't have to worry, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all on them. If you have Labonte Construction coming to your house, those employees are covered under Sam's policy.
Right.
It's not you.
Exactly. And the same thing with the nanny services or home health care services is really what is going there is, there are lots of services out there that are available. They carry all of that coverage.
That's right.
You want to make sure when you hire them that they have all of those coverages.
Yes, ask for a certificate of insurance. Yes,
which is a very easy thing to do for an organization to get that to you.
For sure.
So enough about that, Jen. So let's talk. Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's talk about our social pages and what's going on our social media pages. We started this year. Not only have we fired back up the podcast, but we've also started a little thing called
That's Helpful Thursday.
That's Helpful Thursday. It's all kinds of things we're doing. We've only had 2 Thursdays so far in the year. The next one is just around the corner. It's tomorrow, actually. But we're putting together helpful things. And so we've talked about fire extinguishers. We talked about the right salt to use on your driveway. And we're always looking for helpful little pieces that we can give folks. So you will see 52 helpful things that probably have nothing to do with insurance. Maybe they do a little bit, but maybe not.
That's right.
So some of the things we got coming up are talking about how to, boater safety, vacation safety when you're taking a trip somewhere.
Even when you're driving, turn around, don't drown
Right.
with water in the road.
Right,
So
those
yeah, we
kind
have
of
some
things.
good tips and tricks.
I have a friend too who is big on cutting the cord, on getting rid of cable. So that's kind of a helpful
That's
tip. Some people want to
fascinating.
hear what's the easiest way to
Right.
be done paying
Right.
that
How do
cable
I
bill.
watch my show? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's nervous that they're going to miss
That's right.
whatever it is.
Ozark's
show.
coming, right?
I know.
So-
I know. That's a good show.
It is.
We could probably do a whole podcast on TV shows that we
I
all
know.
watch.
I'm fascinated.
But
Can
I
we
feel
do
like
that
there's
tomorrow? No.
there's a million of those already. So I
Right.
don't know how that's going to work. So it's also that time of the year, Jen.
You know what time it is?
It
It
is.
is Best of the Valley Advocate time coming up.
It is. Starting February 24th, you're going to be able to go on to the Valley Advocates website, cast a vote, and we are hoping that you're going to vote for us, right?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, because
Please
we
do.
are.
We're local and mighty.
We're local and mighty, so we want the local folks being voted for.
That's right.
And so you could do that. We're under At Your Service is where you can find the local insurance agent piece. And that is pretty easy to find. And I'm sure we're going to post a few more times on our social media accounts as to where you can find that and how you can vote for us. We'd really appreciate it. So it's a great thing. You know what? The other thing I'm going to mention while I have you here is another great form. Forget about that for a second, but another great form of love that you can give to Fink and Paris is a review. Give us a review. Head over to Google. Send us a letter, send us a text, send us an email. Just let us know how you think we're doing. And we love to talk about the great feedback that we get from our customers, which is always brightens your day, right?
For sure. It's always nice to go out in the community and I just hear wonderful things from
Yeah.
our team. So it's really meaningful.
And the other thing, we get lots of candy, and
Well-
cookies, and flowers, which is not good for us sometimes.
We are still going through, there's still gifts in our kitchen.
There is
we
still,
must say, here we are,
yes.
January 18th.
Yes, there is
and
still
we still have
chocolate floating around that we're
it's
trying to make
good
our way
chocolate,
through. It is.
but
It is good. So I think that's it, Jen. I think we're good.
I think we did
I
it.
think we did it. I think we ran through the whole thing, and I
Yep.
just want to thank you and hope everyone found today's information informative. I hope you enjoyed watching us. If you're watching on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed listening to us. And then remember, if you are looking for insurance here in Massachusetts, if you're looking for home, auto, or business, you can find us anywhere on the web. I shouldn't say that anywhere. You can find us on, see, this is what happens when I have it all in my
I
head
know.
and then I start
know.
and then I skip off.
We are
But
easy to find. We're insuringyourway.com.
There
We're
you
on
go.
Facebook, Twitter.
LinkedIn, all
Cats
those,
everywhere.
Instagram, YouTube, you name it. So if you're listening, stay safe, wear a mask, practice social distancing still, wash your hands, do what you can so we can get out of COVID times. Thank you for listening to Fink and Paris Insurance Podcast, Local and Mighty. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.